Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the finals of the Stormgate Yeti Cup. This is a developer tournament. And so we've got K-Dong versus Gregar. K-Dong, known as Monk. Gregar, I'm not familiar with. But this was basically the big internal tournament. And if you're watching this now, tomorrow, the beta for Stormgate is going to be out. I'm Tasteless. Joined with me is Gemini. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, the next fest is starting up tomorrow, so if you guys are wanting to get your hands on Stormgate, it's going to be free for anyone to be able to get their hands on and be able to play and stream and whatnot for a couple days, so it's going to be pretty cool to see all the new people coming in.
Yeah, a couple of us have already been able to be in the alpha, and it's been really exciting to see how the game has evolved and frankly, improved rapidly from its early days here. We only have 2 playable races this time around. This is going to be Vanguard here, played by K-Dong. I think we'll be referring to him as Monk. If you're someone who's been on TL for a long time, you're probably familiar with Monk. He was formerly at Blizzard. And then Gregar over here playing Infernals in the top.
Yep, and it's going to be good to kind of see what the meta developments have been a little bit. There's going to be a lot of changes coming in from the different phases. They're really trying to get a lot of different changes to just kind of get all the different feels for how everything will start to play out. So it's going to be pretty cool to see. So far, it's just being kind of normal for now. It just is going for some early brute play from Gregar, and then some dog harass coming from Monk here. So just kind of feeling each other out. No one's going to go rushing for anything super crazy so far. So it's going to just be a pretty standard start.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the resource gathering at all in Stormgate, you have 2 resources. It is the Luminite and the Therium. The Luminite is what looks like a Warcraft gold mine that we saw earlier being mined from. And then the Therium is the resource. That looks a little bit like Tiberium, if you're an old-school RTS player, kind of from Command & Conquer.
I did not play.
You never played Command & Conquer?
Nope.
I guess that was before your time.
I'm a Blizzard RTS nerd, and that's it.
Yeah, this map is a cool one.
Jagged Maw.
Jagged Maw. This is one where there are neutral creep camps that you can kill that will give you a catapult that will push the enemy's base. That'll attack units or structures. I think a good way to think of it is like creeps in Heroes of the Storm, where you kill a location and then that spawns something that will beeline and attack the opponent.
Yeah, it's a nice way to put pressure on the opponent. If they're not expecting it at all, it can be kind of difficult to actually defend. So it's very good for those kinds of attacks. It's just a good siege breaker unit. So yeah, I mean, Gregar is going for an expand. He went for an early vault and a conclave. That's the conclave, the thing of the main base at the top right there. That's what spawns the gaunts, those little goblin guys that are throwing out their little blades or whatever they are. And anytime a gaunt actually hits any unit, it'll infest that unit. And then when that unit that is infested dies, it will spawn a single fiend, which then you can group up with your army. So it's very useful to do that. It does work now on creep camps. Before, that was not the case, so that is a new addition here. So that way, if you kill the camp, then that'll give you a fiend as well. So that's a good way for Infernals to really kind of control the map early on in the game, because they can kill off those creep camps with the early map control that they have, and then they get some extra units as well to scout and do other things on the map.
Yeah. By the way, we already have that siege camp being pushed here. He is going to be coming in now and taking this out. So we're going to see that catapult spawn. And this could be an attack over here on the fast expand. You can see that the final 2 creep chickens are going to be killed off here. It's been interesting, by the way, to see how the creep camps have changed over time. They're certainly a lot beefier and tougher now. Mm-hmm. That little sound effect that we're hearing from the dog, that's a vision boost. And so that has a cooldown. It doesn't use mana or anything like that, but you can use that to gain vision in a wider radius, also onto high ground areas or over trees, for instance.
Yeah. It's very useful because you can just get so much early scouting off of that. It just like the dog itself is very fast, so you can just kind of control the middle of the map and just constantly ping that vision ability so you can see when the opponent is coming. It's very useful in that little midpoint right there too, because you can actually see the siege camps with the vision buff of the ability as well, so it's a good thing for that. The siege camp's actually getting quite far ahead of the army here for Gregar, so it looks like he maybe I don't know, lost track of it a little bit here, but Monk is going ahead and doing the thing that is very useful here with this. When you have this early dog in the middle, you can actually kind of bug out the siege camp AI a little bit, force it to target the dog, and then kind of delay it a little bit.
Yeah, it can't move and shoot, right? So
Correct.
The idea is you bait out a shot run, and then while the catapult is cranking back, It's not wheeling forward here. But it looks like it's up here now. It is going to be accompanied by these units. Whenever you see siege mechanics in an RTS game, it's always an interesting thing because the structures can sustain only so much damage, and eventually you're going to have to actually dive in. We see actually Shroud being added here into the fight. That's going to give a little bit of white health over time to accumulate onto some of these Infernal units, making it a little bit tougher to actually take this out. And I got to say, already, Monk, our blue player down here, looking like he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the Doombringer coming in here for that extra Shroud is actually the dropship also for the Infernals, so it can be used for that as well, but the Shroud is there whenever it does land. And the Lancer turrets are actually being kept alive for quite a while here. They do a lot of extra bounce damage now. They do bounce, I believe, 1 extra time compared to before, I think is what happened. So they're pretty good at defending now overall. The overcharged Bobs are also now helping out to really defend against these, but they have to be careful because if they do get infested, it will spawn an extra fiend every time they die, which is very critical for the Infernals here. The siege camp is also just completely not touched right now. It's just getting tons of shots off. But now these Lancers in between all the units, they're pretty beefy. They do a little bit of line splash damage, so they should be able to help out. And then also a Hornet coming out for Monk here will really be able to help defend this.
Looks like the Hornet is going to gun down the Gaunt over there, almost getting this tower back here. More Gaunts are going to come in here, and this should be enough Gaunts that the Hornet can't possibly sustain. I believe that's Infest on that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if that is killed off, it will spawn Fiends. That can really snowball the fight.
Yeah, it's actually pretty crazy, though, because those Hornets can actually get some pretty good damage done. You'd think the Gaunts would be able to kill them off very easily, but once you get one or, a couple extra more of those Hornets together, they actually shred through them pretty quickly, as you'll start to notice a little bit. But you do have to still be careful with that Infest on top of them, so you should be able to repair those up. I mean, Gregor's really pushing it in here. He's got the Doombringer there as well, getting all that Shroud extra on top of the main base here, so all that white health is really getting regenerated, and now it's really just up to this turret and these couple Hornets here to be able to defend against this. I don't know if Monk actually is going to have enough just yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's now or never. You have to hold this or this game is going to end. We see he's moved a little bit back here, just out of range, it looks like, of the static defense. He's going to be moving back in over here. Now, we've got the Bobs repairing, but there's not a lot of resource gathering actually happening right now. So what you see is kind of what you get as far as production goes over here, as we're continuing to see Gregor just with this onslaught of reinforcements coming in.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering, I mean, you said that there's no income coming in for Monk right now, but there's also just so little production. He's got just those 2 production facilities. He's got a barracks, he's got a hangar, and that's basically it. So he's not actually able to get a whole bunch of units coming out. He does have one of the habitats. You see that green beam coming out there. That actually increases the production speed of any unit that is in that production facility. So he will be able to get the Hornets out a little bit quicker, but again, it's still just one production facility actually making those. So it's, you can't match the amount of production coming out from the Infernals right now. As you can see, there's so many Gaunts that now, even though the Hornets are usually pretty decent against them, I mean, it's just a numbers game right now. Yeah,
and this really changes the dynamic because the Gaunts can stay out of range, so they're going to be able to deal damage over time. There's nothing really to repair, and that's going to be a GG. Monk loses game 1, a victory there for the Infernals. Really impressive push there from Gregor. I mean, he basically got that up. Wasn't even like a timing or all in or anything like that. He was able to take a third base shortly after that, and I got to say, a really strong performance. We're going to go into game 2 now. This is a best of 5, so there's definitely still a little bit of wiggle room here for Monk to try to recover.
Yeah, and I mean, overall, I think Monk did try to go for a bit of an earlier expand option there. I mean, it's a bigger map. Jagged Maw is quite large, so you generally kind of try to see some early expand openings from them. So getting punished by the early siege camp, didn't quite have enough units out to defend it just in time. So we'll see if something different happens this game, because this map is a little bit smaller. I believe this is Broken Crown Hinterlands, I think is what it is. I always forget the map names. The jungle maps look a little similar sometimes. So
yeah, but, sometimes we have a lot of maps with the same tile set. I'll get them mixed up here too. Yeah, this is a map with only 2 spawns. I don't believe we have any maps with 3 or 4 spawns yet. Is that correct?
No, they're all 2-player ones.
Yeah, they're all 2 spawns. So maps where there's just 2 spawns do allow for a lot of strategies that can't be used on other maps. So I don't know if we're going to have any kind of proxies or all-ins or crazy stuff happening, but whenever you know your opponent's spawn, you can always make your start building your infrastructure right outside their base and do some kind of rush.
Yep. And it looks like we're going to go for the overcharge power build on that CC. You can see just how quickly that actually finishes up here. We have so many of them. So the overcharge now also gives them a little bit of extra production speed as well, instead of just the armor and whatnot. So Yeah, you can get that CP up. That was fast, basically.
That was wild. It's interesting too. If you, just as far as ideas go, when it comes to fast expanding, it looks like now Monk has an even split of workers at both bases, and so that way, as each Bob is incremented out of its respective, it's command post, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying, guys, to not use StarCraft terms here. Command, yeah. For every Bob that increments out of the command post, they're going to be perfectly even and max out on 12 for each of the Luminite resource nodes. So that's really cool. I love seeing these new builds as people kind of figure out and optimize how to play and fast expand.
Yeah, the overcharge getting extra production along with the power building mechanic itself, it just really does allow for a lot of interesting new things. There's also salvage for Vanguard where you get actually 100% of the resources back on the salvaged building, and you can salvage any building, I think, except for a command post. So there's some really interesting kind of, efficient ways to get a super high-tech unit out really fast and stuff like that. So the players in the alpha are being, in the beta, are being very cheeky with some of the fast rushes that they've been trying to go for in the couple of last phases.
It does seem like, at least in this current build, the placement of the, whether it's a shrine or a command post, basically your main building that you return resources to, you want to be at a 90-degree angle to the Luminite there. We're also seeing some other ideas with placement here from the Infernals. We see the beginnings of a Wallen, I think, over at the natural expansion ramp. As we're all kind of learning this game together, we're going to see more and more of these ideas start to cement as people kind of figure out the game. It looks like we're going to have another attack, this one a little bit earlier than even in Game 1 here. Now, there's a Lancer inside. Oh, God, what is this thing called? A habitat?
No, that's the turret.
Turret? It's just called a turret?
I think it's just a sentry turret, I believe.
Sentry, okay. There's a Lancer in there, and that does quite a bit of damage, but it looks like you could almost run around, and that's what we're going to have over here from Gregor. But you can see with the Bob's body blocking and still in range of that turret, this is a pretty undesirable attack. In fact, he may even lose that. No, the Brute does stay alive. What?
The bounce actually came through from the Lancer turret, so I guess the range of it, once it actually connects to the first unit, I guess it will still bounce
that
anyways.
Was insane.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that looks
I've never
so
actually
funny.
Seen that interaction yet. Usually I'm too far away from the unit.
It almost looked like one of the Infernal units had shot a blade at the other one. I'm like, wait, what's going on here?
The Infernals are actually Beyblade masters.
That was a kind of a weird interaction there. So because he's been driven out, Gregor's going to start to rotate through the creep camps and try to get kills there. Now, we should remind everybody, you do get a small amount of resources when you kill the creep camps. You also get certain buffs depending on what the creep is. That can be vision over an area for a while, maybe a speed buff, possibly a healing aura that's going to be in that area. No catapult like we had in Game 1, though.
Yeah, that's map specific to just Jagged Maw, so you're not going to see that on any other map. We do have the Greater Shrine finishing up, which is the upgrade to the main shrine, which is the command post, by the way, of the Infernals. And that will allow us to get the Twilight Spire, and also, I think that's just 2 Twilight Spires actually in production there. So that's going to allow Gregor to get out some Shadow Flyers, which are essentially Scourge. They're to be as close to StarCraft as possible. So there's Scourge, and there's also Spriggans, which are, again, similar to Mutalisks a bit. So you can get those units out. They're very good against the Hornets, so if there was going to be Monk going for the Hornet build in this game, then the Shadow Flyers are really good to dive on top of those. But it doesn't look like he's actually doing that. He's going for a double Mech Bay, which is going to likely be going for some Vulcans, is my guess. Hedgehogs are still a pretty decent unit overall, but I think they've just been a bit nerfed considering last patch they were just,
that was
unit.
like the only thing you made was hedgehogs.
Of Vanguard.
Yeah, they definitely found their place in the early alpha. So for the time being, we still have 2 players on 2 bases. It does seem like Monk's playstyle, maybe this is just the correct way to play, is just to camp.
He's got 15 Bobs on the Therium. That's insane.
And nothing in his main.
Oh my God, I've never seen
that
someone
doesn't feel right, but
So there's so you can actually, I think you can just completely mine those unrestricted. There's no cap to how many you can put on them. So you could technically just get a whole bunch of Therium really quick with all those Bobs there.
I guess those are a lot of the Bobs that were pulled earlier to stop that run by, and then to get them mining more efficiently, he just threw them all on that Therium down there. Because obviously, if you have to transfer them back into your main, you're going to lose a couple seconds of income. But that's pretty wild.
I've just never seen that many on Therium before. Actually, it's so crazy. Okay. Anyways, well, he's got something mapped out, so we'll see what he comes up with. So yeah, there's the ritual chamber also coming out for the Infernals. That'll give some extra upgrades there. I think that's the one that has the infest upgrade for the gaunts as well. So that'll be useful for them. That'll allow them to, or not. Well, they have infest already, but they have an extra thing that makes them move faster for health, which is basically just stim. Oh, a Vulcan drop actually coming out for Monk. I kind of like this one. This is pretty cool. He's going to try to contest these middle creep camps here, and we'll be able to kill off some of those units. And now it's going to be a little awkward to be able to defend against this, but the Shadow Flyers should be able to deny this medevac, I believe.
Yeah, flying right into that turret. Let's see how the Vulcan fares against the static defense. It looks like it's going to be a pretty easy fight to win that, but the Spriggans are going to come in here. And you can see it's going to be very tough to actually get this away. We have a little bit of a speed boost. How long does this last, though?
A long time.
Does this never end?
It goes right
goes
on
all the
back.
way back to its base.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, that was a zoomer.
I was waiting for it
map.
to slow down at some point in time. It's like, no.
No. I think, so that was, there's a recall ability basically on the units. It's for the Hornets, it was the original, but I guess maybe they added it onto the dropships as well, which I didn't realize. So
I wasn't ready for that, to be honest with you.
That just zoomed right across the map.
Kind of
right
like
there.
a medevac boost there. Again, guys, the game has been changing rapidly here. There's patches and they're kind of trying to figure out the best way for the game to be played. We've got those Spriggans coming in here now, and they're going to be moving further in. They're going to try to gun down this Hornet that is infested. I think it's just going to be out of range. The Spriggans are then going to go over to the Ethereum patch. Oh my god, the Hornet is finally taken out.
We also have a couple of Hedgehogs that are actually in the anti-air mode right there. You see that? That forces them to actually lock down in a position similar to a siege tank, and then it shoots only directly upwards. So you have to then change it back into the normal ground mode to be able to then move around and attack ground again. So it's very good against the air units, the Spriggans there, but for now, it looks like there'll be a nice defense here. There's lots of turrets. There's all those Hedgehogs there. We got lots of turrets everywhere, actually, to make sure that those Spriggans don't do too much damage. But Gregor's still making a whole bunch of Spriggans, so he's really going to go for that mass air strategy here to try and really snowball this.
Yeah, you can see the Spriggans get driven out a little bit. But again, a lot of mining interruption. Gregor really just staying on top of Monk here, punishing over and over again. There is a third base now up at 12 o'clock, and I think there's, I believe, even a fourth at the very, very top left that's being taken, if that red dot is what I think it is. So, despite Monk fending off all these attacks, it does seem like Gregor is just getting bigger and bigger and taking more of the map.
Yeah, he's really containing Monk onto these two bases. He's just not able to actually get a third base setup, which usually as Vanguard, you kind of do want to get a somewhat faster third a little bit to make sure that you can actually keep up with the Infernal production, because they can really skyrocket out of absolutely nowhere, especially because they have a new top bar ability that allows them to chrono boost essentially their buildings, which gets them out really quickly. Now the Spriggans are just jumping on top of these Hornets. You actually see a little shield getting put onto the Hornet there. That's another one of the new Vanguard abilities that absorbs a lot of damage. I think it's like 1,000 damage, which is kind of an incredible amount.
Kind of reminds me of Defense Matrix a little bit.
Yep. That's basically what it is, I believe. So it's pretty powerful to defend against specific single units there, so that was good to defend. But yeah, like I was saying, the new Infernal ability, which I just forget the name of because there's so many crazy names for all these new things, but it's it basically just recharges the stacks that you can make out of your production facilities. So like you get normally 3, so you can over time you just gain. It's like larva, where like when you inject a larva, they'll just like slowly come back out and they'll just like regurgitate or whatever. So it's like that for the production, for all of the production of Infernals, and then you can recharge those charges to then just get 3 more instantly, which is pretty good.
The Hornets are actually pretty good against the Spriggans. I'm, to be honest with you, not used to seeing Hornets.
They were essentially like out of the game.
Yeah, I kind of forgot. Yeah, that they were even there, but they do seem to be quite viable.
We also have the new Infernal unit being come out here, which is the Hellborn, which is like a very long-range siege unit that when it does attack something, the attack when it lands does a splash damage in a cone shape, basically, of anything behind the unit.
Yeah, and that is going to be a big problem here for Monk, who does at least appear to be behind. Keep in mind that we don't know if you're supposed to be even on bases or if one faction is supposed to always be ahead. Kind of like we always know Zerg is supposed to have more bases than Terran or Protoss. But we're going to see a push come down here And right now, I mean, it looks like this is going to be backed up by a lot. This is basically denying where the 4th base would be taken. We saw the trees get carved open there, so that location can be acquired. Here come the Hornets now. Now, I only see a couple of Gaunts, which tells me that there is not going to be enough to actually take this. And a lot of these very slow units are just going to be picked off here by the Hornets.
Yeah, I don't know where the air army went here. You see a couple Weavers coming in from Gregor, but that's not going to do anything either because those don't attack air. There we go. There's the Shadow Flyers coming in right now, going in for their bombing attack right on top of them. They're trying to get on top, but he recalls the Hornets to get them out of range, and then, it connects anyways. Massive shot on all those Hornets. It's actually super good for Gregor now because that was basically what was keeping Monk in the game right there, is that big Hornet army.
And that's splash damage, right?
Yes,
Airborne.
yes.
Okay, so it really is like a Sky Baneling, so to speak. You can see they still only have placeholder art for it right now. It's just this pink bat for the time being. Now here comes that push. We can see, by the way, I love the effects. But you can see the cone damage kind of spread out here and how that's going to be distributed. So it does seem like if you're going to be covering these buildings, you better not be behind them. You probably want to stay out in front of that. And Monk, again, in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, the Weavers are even here now to be able to pull in those Vulcans. They'll be able to do percent damage. It's like 10% HP damage. So basically, if the unit is extremely beefy, has a lot more health, it'll deal more damage. So it's very good against those Vulcans. Gonna try to target down the CP, but the repair is there, so we'll be able to stay alive for now. And there's the Magmadon going in with its new charge ability, stunning any unit that is near it in different intervals. So we'll be able to start to kill off some of those Vulcans. They're running away, trying to stay alive with just the tiniest little bit of HP to get healed up here. But, I mean, this position is just getting overrun here by Gregor.
There it is. GG. Gregor is an absolute beast. I got to say, it just seems to me like Gregor has a better grasp on, like, growth and macro. And, you know, we saw that timing attack that was defended there by Monk early on. But the reality is he was not able to then get out on the map and really you know, take control of it, especially after the Hornets were killed off later on. That's really what cemented that push.
Yeah, that was really good to get the Shadow Flyers out there to be able to deny that and then just let the ground arm be able to completely go on top of the high ground there and bust it open. So very nicely done by Gregor. I'm actually kind of surprised. I mean, I just kind of assumed that Monk was like the best like dev in the company essentially. So I'm kind of surprised to see him go down 0-2 so fast.
Yeah, Gregor is looking extremely strong. And just like a very robust RTS player in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, if you're going to get... I know we have a lot of new people that are watching. Maybe you're thinking, like, should I give this a try? I know RTS can be so punishing and so hard, but it's really fun to get in right at the beginning when everybody's learning. And, you know, with all these new generation RTSs coming out, especially Stormgate, I think now is a better time than ever, you know. But you can see the fundamentals are there with Gregor. He was able to continue to expand. He has these timing attacks. He also knows when to pull away and how to use the map when he can engage directly with his opponent. Here we see the fast expand build. So this is one you guys might want to copy because this seems to be extremely strong. You take all 5 bobs, use that boost that's normally used for defense, but instead use that as a construction buff. And you can see just how crazy fast you're able to make this command post.
Yeah, it's so insane how fast that makes, actually. It's totally ridiculous. So, yeah, that just gets boosted up real quick. So, wada bing, there we go. There's a new command post ready to completely mine right there. And there's nothing else for now. It's just going to be the 2 command posts finished now. And we'll eventually get the barracks and whatnot so we can get some extra unit production. But basically, like the way it works is that Infernal, you have a little bit of downtime before any units come out because they don't spawn with the initial scout unit, which is the name for the dog. So there's a little bit of this downtime where there's nothing that's actually going to just be right in your face, harassing and picking away at your bobs early on. So you have the liberty to go for this little bit faster command post here, and compared to when you're going for a Vanguard versus Vanguard matchup.
And this may, this may be too basic for a lot of the people that are very, have been following RTS for a long time. But why are these fast expand builds so good? Because if you get a second base up, you have double the resources. So you are getting way more of an income. And with an economy like that, then you can get a third base more quickly or get a bigger army. And so, generally speaking, all RTS games start out with a couple rush builds and a couple fast expand builds. And usually those fast expand builds start to outpace the rush builds as we get more and more macro play.
Yeah, there's basically two types of players when a new game, a new RTS drops. It's the people that want to try and just see how much they can stretch their greed and just try to grow without dying. And then there's the people that just want points and want to win as fast as,
they want to get fights.
possible. And they want to abuse the stuff that's broken right when it
honor,
starts.
as Artosis would say. There's
they just put 3 buildings down as fast as possible and get the units across the map. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to just kill you.
And we did see some games from Vortex earlier on where he did that. That was pretty exciting. Again, guys, this when this video is posted, the beta is going to be available tomorrow. So I'm really excited to see who's going to come out on top. Is it going to be the StarCraft 2 guys are the best? Are we going to see the Age of Empire guys, maybe 4 or 2 come up?
Maybe it's going to be the Fortnite gamers that
maybe
come
it's
and
be the
rise
Fortnite.
up.
Is it going to be the guys that play Halo, or who's going to be the best in the game?
The
I don't know.
Tetris guys, it's
That's
them.
Right. I saw them and how they roll the pieces quickly.
That 13-year-old kid's going to come and dominate.
That's
Stormgate.
right. The kid who broke Tetris, he's going to then break Stormgate. But yeah, it's like, who's going to actually come out on top? So this is always like kind of a cool, exciting time. I know right before StarCraft 2 came out, there was this big debate, like, is it going to be the Warcraft 3 guys or the StarCraft 1 guys? And thank God it was the StarCraft 1 guys that did it. That would have been horrible if the Warcraft 3 guys turned out to be better at this game than us.
Oh,
but they're all going to be back on again, so this is going to be very cool to see.
Yeah, we've got an early Gaunt and Brute push coming in yet again for Gregor. This is just kind of a normal standard thing that seems like Infernals like to do just because, again, they get that early game map control a little bit with the Gaunt Infest to be able to get those creep camps and whatnot. And, of course, I mean, Monk just went for the CP first anyway, so he doesn't really have much map control to begin with. But he's going for the Lancer defense, which is pretty good. They're actually quite strong in this early game. It takes a lot to kill them, surprisingly, from the Infernal side. It's like you'd like expect this to just be like a zealot, basically, where you can just kind of kill them easily, but they actually are super beefy and just don't die. They actually have a range as well to their attack where they like poke forward, and it does actually quite a bit. He actually also has the upgrade already finished. I didn't notice he even got the biolab for this. So after getting hit with the other units, they will actually get a speed buff. So it's like a passive speed buff here, and you can see just how fast they move and with the microbility there that you have with those Lancers once they actually get that upgrade going.
Monk shut this down really well. Definitely an overextension. Are the Lancers faster on foot than the Brutes? Do we know?
If you have the upgrade, so on the biolab, that's what I was saying, where you get the upgrade for it, and then when they get attacked, then they will get that speed buff passively. So at that point, yes, they are exthrown fast.
Can you trigger that by attacking your own Lancer? Do you know?
I'm not sure, actually.
Okay, that's one of those things. Yeah, just some ideas thrown out there. So yeah, when you get a speed buff, speed upgrades in RTS are generally like some of the strongest things you can get because it allows you to retreat, and so you don't have any losses, but you can also chase things down and kill them. Which means when speed upgrades are part of the game, things become a lot more punishing. By the way, we've got a third base being taken down here. This is towards the central location on the map. Again, we don't know if Infernal's supposed to maybe always be ahead of base or not, but I want to see if we're going to have Monk try to come in there and attack that, scout that at all even, or take a third base of his own.
Yeah, it's likely that he's going to try to go for a third. It's a little bit hard to go for some early pressure on 2 bases as a Vanguard. I think generally you do want to try to play the longer macro game as the Vanguard because once you can get like a really big Lancer, Vulcan, Medtech army, it's so strong. Like it's really difficult for the Infernals to actually trade well against it, and so that's definitely going to be something that that Monk wants to try to go for. For now, it's just going to be a lot of this early Lancer pressure because he does have the upgrade already finished, so that does give him a lot of extra mobility. It gives him the freedom to really go in here and try to just kill off this third base, which it looks like he might be able to do. Obviously, Gregor doesn't want this to happen. He's going to try to get some of the reinforcements here, so we'll be able to catch 2 of those Medtechs, which is very good for him. We'll really isolate those Lancers over there, and we'll be able to just kill these 3 off for free.
Yeah, the Medtech can't heal while moving, right?
I believe so. I think he needs to stop.
I think it has to stand still. And you can see here, these Fiends are just slowly clipping away at the HP. So a double kill over there. Now, the Lancers are coming back. I think they actually intercepted something in the middle of the map, but it looks like we're going to miss that. But look, it's back to 2 base versus 2 base here. Actually, I'm sorry, guys. I'm still not used to this map. There's another base at the bottom here. Just adjacent to the main.
Yeah, so it looks like Monk was able to expand while going for that, and he's actually got a bunch of, I think those are just a bunch of Bobs running to the right. Is he going to try to just go for another expansion really quickly with a bunch of overcharged Bobs? Is that what's happening? Look at them at the bottom
There's
of the
something
map.
down at 6 o'clock. I'm not sure.
Oh, he's just bringing them back. I'm not sure what that was. Anyways, it looked like he just ran all his Bobs to the right. I was confused for a second. But The med techs are now out here, so they're with the Lancers. They're going to start to heal those up, so that's going to be nice for them. And I mean, killing off that third base as Monk is actually really good for him, because Infernal does really need to get that production ramped up pretty well here. So to be able to deny that is going to be really strong. I think in general, like we're not sure exactly what the economy ratios are just yet, but Infernal does feel like they do need a little bit more to ramp up. They can't really just sit on 2 base, because if they are, then they're just going to be doing an all-in essentially, and you really need those extra bases to be able to get into the later stages of the game.
Yeah, they do seem to be very Zergy, with maybe kind of a touch of like Orc from Warcraft 3. So we've got these med techs being targeted. Nice shield there on that one med tech, and this is maybe some poor targeting here from Gregor. Gregor, I think, going to be in a little bit of hot water here. And, I mean, I think Monk may be moments away from winning this. I guess he doesn't have any anti-air, though, right?
Yeah, it's just that one Exo coming across. So for now, I guess he has to run away from just those 3 Spriggans.
It's so funny casting a new RTS game. I'm like, wait, these units can't hit air, can they?
They're just sitting there they're just laughing at themselves.
I guess those swords can't reach up, so.
Just like trying so hard to pierce into the sky. They're like jumping up over.
That's right.
Like, oh, I can't reach it, no.
Yeah, they got to give them little trampolines to jump on so they can hit that. So yeah, the Spriggans are just doing so much damage over here to these Lancers. You can see they do get the speed buff when they take that damage.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Attacking them also helps them retreat faster, which is kind of funny.
It's almost better if they're attacked so they can get back home more quickly.
Yeah.
Here come the Exos. The Exos are actually quite strong.
Yeah, they did get buffed again in this new phase, so they're a little bit stronger overall. So it's good to try to make those a little bit more. Again, last phase they kind of got overshadowed a bit by the Hedgehogs, but everything was getting overshadowed by them. So it's whatever.
Especially if you have anything in front of the Exos to tank damage like these Lancers are, it's pretty good. Now the Spriggans are going to come through here and kill a lot of these workers. I think you can basically just mow down each of these Bobs, and instead, we're going to have a counterattack. I think this is a wise decision here for Monk to basically move out on the map. We can see, it's called a turret, right? I think I messed.
Sentry post.
Sentry post, thank you. If there's nothing inside of it, it has this very basic attack. But when an Exo gets in, it's crazy.
Yeah, they're very strong. That did get nerfed a little bit as well because they were so strong last phase, but they're still very good, and obviously they do anti-air. Look at that 360.
Yeah, 360 no-scope on the
Spriggan.
That was wild.
Oh my god, MLG.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually pretty crazy to see. I think that Monk is in much better shape in this game, by the way.
Yeah, he's doing great. I mean, Gregor can barely even get this third base going. He's got not that much economy going. I mean, he's just got the Spriggans essentially doing a little bit of map pressure, which, to be fair, did actually kill quite a few Bobs in the main base, so that was pretty good. But the problem, again, is just that this actual main base here, main army from Monk is very strong, and it's very hard to actually get on top of these units. You don't have Magmadons to stun the units as well, because the units all clump up, so it's nice to get those stuns off. Oh, actually using Flaming Imps at the top there to try and kill off some of those units, but unfortunately not getting too much damage there, getting off on a lot of the Lancers instead of the softer Exos. So losing a lot of your Imp production to be able to go for that, but not getting quite the biggest hits. Spriggan's now coming back from behind. Will be trying to do a flank, but they're not getting too much damage done just yet. I mean, this is still looking pretty decent for Monk.
Yeah, it was looking pretty good, but now that we have the rest of these brutes over here, it does feel like Monk's army is getting a little bit squishier. He's kiting really nicely. A lot of these Exos are staying alive. Only 2 Spriggans left over. A couple of Lancers here to tank damage. Really good control, putting the shields up on that. And you can see the Exos are a little bit faster, and this makes the brutes and the Magmadons basically useless against them.
Yeah, it's really hard to actually get on top of them if you don't have the Magmadons getting the stuns on top of them. And even that, getting close enough to do that can be a little bit tricky sometimes. So if they can actually get away from the Magmadons, then they actually do extremely well. And you can see Gregor trying to go for that, trying to like bait the army into him so he can get that stun off. Using the Gaunt ability as well to move a bit faster to get on top of these Exos and spawn some Fiends is pretty good. But you do have to be careful with that, because if the Gaunts start to get too close, they have pretty low health, so they will actually drop pretty quick.
Pretty quack.
They quack to those Exos, so yeah.
Yeah, you can see the army here from, by the way, you can tear down these trees, as you can see here. By the way, the effects are drastically improved and cooler from the previous alpha. You can tear the trees down with the Magmadons. But yeah, the Infernal Army, to what I was going to say earlier, it's really powerful and really strong, but it does seem like at this phase of the game, Vanguard is maybe a little bit more nimble, a little bit better at running away.
Sure. Yeah, the units from Infernals are a little bit slow outside of the Fiend. So it is, yeah, like you said, it's a bit harder for them to maneuver around a little bit. Something else as well, it's just kind of cool looking at these fights. Compared to the last phase, a lot of people were saying that the readability of the game, the units were kind of hard to tell the difference between them and whatnot. It's drastically improved in this phase, so it's so much easier to actually see which units are which, and a lot of the visual effects have been improved, so it's really nice to actually be able to actually follow all these fights and whatnot now.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know what they changed, but you're definitely right. I can really clearly see what's going on in a way that wasn't as obvious from before.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch an Infernal versus Infernal to be able to truly tell with the Fiend battles.
Right. That'll be the next challenge.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to go in for another attack here, but you can see the Magmadons, they're just getting kited back. They can't actually get on top of the bio, and that's going to make it really difficult for any of the other units. And this slow Weaver trying its hardest to get back home, getting poked in the butt nonstop there by those Exos. And we'll just kind of fall graciously
It
down.
just dies like one of those inflatable wacky arm guys. Just falls
It's
to
like
the
one of those
ground.
dies of cringe gifs. It just falls down.
That's so funny. Well, we got another push coming in here. It does seem like every engagement, Monk is able to shave off a little bit more of the army. And again, you're seeing the punish. It's pretty brutal. It's very hard to retreat. And yeah, Monk is going to continue to advance here. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, these Exos are, again, it's just so hard to get on top of them. You can see a couple of those Hellborns coming out to try and do the splash damage, but they're getting kind of stuck on shooting that Lancer, which is very far. Look how fast that thing's going, by the way. Holy moly, it's insane.
Yeah.
But the Lancers are in front, so it's getting it's soaking a lot of the damage, so the cone damage doesn't actually reach the Exos. And now we're seeing them even split up a little bit here, so unfortunately, it seems like these Hellborns aren't quite able to get on top of everything. Look at that. They just get sniped as well. Apparently, the HP on them is not that high. Couple Flaming Imps going to try to get on top of this bio, but there's the speed buff from those Medtechs coming
Easy.
in. Oh, my God. Just runs straight away from those, no problem. And this is looking really good for Monk now.
Yeah, Monk able to close in here. There is an additional base, I think, being taken in the middle of the map.
Yep.
So there's still, a little bit more of an economy to lean on here, but the problem is I don't think Gregor has an army. In this current build, we don't see the supplies of each side. We don't know what the income is looking like or how much money is banked up, if there's anything banked up. But this seems to be a moment in the game where, our Infernal player is slowly falling apart, even with these two Lancers coming in over here and hitting these workers.
Yeah, this is going to be really difficult. When your entire army is just a couple of brutes here, you're not feeling it as an Infernal player. This is not something that you want to go against when you have just a bunch of Exo Lancer Medtech coming at you. So this is looking like a slow burn right now for Gregor. Monk is going to be able to kind of just eventually chase down these units and really make the final finishing blow here. But, I mean, yeah, this has been a really good masterclass from Monk to just show the power of the early Lancer and the early upgrades that you can get for the Lancer to be able to control the map. It's a bit difficult sometimes as a Vanguard player to get onto the map because it feels like the Infernal is just can be really oppressive with the creep camps being able to spawn Fiends now as well, so they get a lot of early units really fast. But Monk doing a really good job here of just showing that you can actually get onto the map with the Lancers, with the upgrade as well, and just control the game from there.
The little yellow ticks above that's their veterancy.
Correct, yes.
So this is a feature unique to Vanguard.
Oh my God.
Is that the oh my God. The speed
What?
was insane.
That was ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen a unit in an RTS move that fast. That was whack.
With the veterancies, GG, I'm curious because I actually don't know. The veterancy, that makes your units a little bit stronger.
Correct, yeah.
As they level up.
Yeah, you get like a little bit of extra HP, a little bit of extra damage, I believe, for each rank is what it is. So,
right.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to keep those early units alive that were getting the kills.
So, it's another thing that you have to think about when you're in the game is, never let a unit die. Never sacrifice it if you can, because you could have that unit get buffed later on.
Yeah, that's a Vanguard-specific mechanic, by the way.
Yes.
Infernal doesn't have that at all.
We should also mention that the Infernal, they collect what's called Animus.
Correct.
And you get that. That's like think of it almost like a third resource. You're not gathering it, but you get it when you kill things or your things die. And so that allows you to do things like Infest. You can summon a dragon. There's a couple other features. And so we'll see if that plays a role here now. But if you heard us mentioning Infest, that is a global ability that you get from your Animus.
Yeah, and also that's the passive ability of the Gaunts as well when they do attack something, so it does trigger that as well. But you can do like a big like circular like throwdown of Infest on a certain area with a call down ability. So yeah, this map is going to be the newest map actually added to this new iteration of Stormgate, which is, I believe it's called Boneyard. I have actually not really played a single game on this one. It's not. I don't think it's in the ladder rotation at the moment. So yeah, I haven't actually played it. Unless you do custom games, you're not going to match on it, I believe. So this will be a little new territory as well. But we're going to go see Monk go for that same very fast CP opener with the power building. So that's going to be basically his bread and butter, it seems like. I think he's done that every game so far. So he really does like that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. You know, if he thinks that there's no way to be rushed and killed here, why would you not try to go for something like this? Yeah, I'm not familiar with this map. The Boneyard was an old StarCraft map. I don't know if that's if it's taking inspiration from that at all, but I remember the very early days, honestly, back when they didn't know how to make maps yet,
Yeah.
it was too early on. That was a map that people were playing on ladder.
I can't wait to see Stormgate's version of Lost Temple.
Yeah, well, they could probably just go make it. Yeah, Fighting Spirit, Lost Temple,
Yeah.
Metalopolis.
Oh, let's get Scrap Station back, boys.
That's right.
Well, that's what Jagged Maw is, isn't it?
Kinda,
Jagged Maw is
yeah.
just Scrap Station. Never mind. Okay, we already got that. Yeah, get us Metalopolis, get us Cloud Kingdom, get us all those ones.
Yeah, get all the classic maps back in here. This is a different game, by the way, from Gregor. He's going for pressure, or at least, I guess, going for creeps here on the map.
Yeah, he went for the fast vaults and Conclave again this time to get the early Gaunts out, so that way he can infest all these creeps. There seems to be a lot of creeps on this map, so I think it's a good strategy for this map because there's just so many of them all over the place. And the resource camps are great to farm for that because there's 2 different level 1 spider creeps right there, so that you can kill them pretty easily once you have a couple fiends out. And you can just really just start to snowball with all those fiends that you're getting when you get across the map.
Gets those over here, and he's kind of he's hitting all the spots as he gets closer and closer to this base. The question is going to be how vulnerable or not vulnerable is Monk in this moment. Can you get into the main from the side here? I'm trying to...
Yeah, there's actually
okay.
2 ramps.
There is a back entrance, all right. So some maps don't have this. This one clearly does, which makes the strategy, honestly, probably even a lot better. Now, I would imagine he wants to prompt the Bobs in the defensive mode and then let that run out.
Yeah, it looks like we got to cancel on that biolab trying to get made to get the Lancer upgrades there. But, I mean, yeah, we're getting on top of the Luminite line here to be able to deny them from mining, trying to just power build that up to get the production for the upgrade going. But, I mean, this is going to deny a lot of the mining here, and, I mean, it's giving a lot of space here for Gregor to kind of pressure this this first base here. I mean, the map itself lends for this, where you have just this ability to go in from the back, so it's very difficult, actually. But those... Oh, wow, that Lancer splash is kind of crazy against those fiends. That was nuts.
Yeah, the thing about the Gaunts is he can basically ignore the SimCity'd defensive structure. He can just stay on the outside and slowly chip away at this, and this is really scary. I mean, he's basically in between where the 2 bases are. He can just keep hitting this. This is like lost about, I don't know, maybe a third of its health now.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, Gregor's kind of microing a little bit, keeps losing a couple fiends and brutes here, getting in range of the turret there. But now, actually, the infest bounce from... So the Gaunt has a bounce attack as well, so you can see it bouncing onto those Bobs. So a couple of those Bobs are actually spawning fiends, which actually helped to deny... Or, sorry, start to kill that sentry post there. So it's getting a lot of damage done to it. We're moving away from the units. There we go. Now we can see the Lancers getting on top of the Gaunts there as they do flank them. So that's actually very good. This is a really important thing for Monk right here to be able to get to that backline. But a huge new wave from Gregor is actually coming in here as he got his natural setup here too.
It does seem like Gregor slowed down on his reinforcements. Like these all should have been just like slow trickling in.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
And so it feels like a moment where he could have actually gotten that command post. Monk saves the day. A little bit less than half HP, but, you know, a damaged building is the same as a full HP building. If it's not killed off, you can still return the resources to it. And so this is, kind of a scary moment here. It seems like the economy is now kicking in really hard here for Monk. He's moving out on the map with his Lancers. He's got enough that's a pretty threatening amount. And it looks like these 2 armies are almost going to pass each other like ships in the night. Yeah, like they're just out of range. They can't see each other. Keep in mind, it feels like the pace that units move in the early game in Stormgate, they're not that fast. So if he can get in here and do some damage, it's going to be a while before we're going to see Gregor come all the way across the map and get in.
Yeah, this is actually going to be a little bit tricky, I think, for Gregor here, because the defensive mechanics here for Infernals is maybe a little bit underdeveloped, I would say, compared to Vanguard with the overcharge and just, you know, all that stuff. It's basically the white health that's helping them a lot. Well, actually, we have a Doombringer here to actually get the Shroud over on the other side with dropping those gaunts as well. So never mind. It looks like he's actually well equipped to be able to go for a counteroffensive here, and then has some gaunts left over behind to be able to defend against those Lancers. I really thought those Lancers were going to just kind of dive in a little bit deeper and just go for it. It looks like now they finally will do that. Getting on top of those gaunts, you can see just how quick they deal with those, and we'll be able to kill them off very nicely. And as they have the upgrade now, that's going to add to the micro ability, will allow them to just run on back home here. But, I mean, this little gaunt drop here is actually doing way more than I expected.
You know, it's funny. It takes a long time to kill this command post, but the Bobs can't mine. I mean, that's pretty brutal. It looks like he's going to try to use the... oh, hold on. He's actually going to pick up and try to just bail out from this position. Nicely done.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get too overwhelmed. It's not good to actually lose all those units because the gaunts are... It's good to just get a whole bunch of them set up, basically. They are pretty cheap at this point, so it's not like it's that expensive to lose them, but they really work when you get just a whole bunch of them to be able to start dealing constant infest damage over. It looks like, yeah, they're starting to get, again, just caught out a little bit. I think they should get loaded back up. There we go. Get that out of there. So, yeah, I mean, the Gaunts by themselves against the Lancers is a really bad matchup. They don't actually do very well at all. The Lancers will just completely melt them. So you really need some other stuff in front to be able to actually compete with the Lancers.
So this has been a much more action-packed game here. I'm really liking the drop play here. Monk has really weathered basically every storm extremely well. We don't have a third base on either side yet. So, you know, Gregor definitely coming into this game with a different style. It doesn't seem like it's worked out so far. I mean, he's stopped Monk from mining, but Monk is basically continuing to power up and look pretty healthy here.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. There's a lot of units coming out here for Gregor to be able to try and continue this pressure. There is a health camp in each of the bases here, which is quite nice. There's also a health turret now since a med tech has been put in. So we just got a bunch of heals going all over the place here for Monk. So he's going to be able to get those low HP Lancers right back up to full HP, which is going to be very good on this defense here because there's a lot of units now coming in for Gregor. I don't really know if this is enough to actually break this, though. It looks like a lot from the Infernals, but again, once these Lancers get on top of some of these Gaunts in the backline, it can be super punishing. But, I mean, at first, this is going to actually be pretty tough here because he's sitting right in the open, going to allow himself to get surrounded here is Monk. So a lot of these Lancers are going to start to die right at the beginning. But now that the buff is triggered here on the Lancers, he's going to be able to micro those away. And you can kind of see it does take a while for these Lancers to die. So unless you kill them off really quickly, suddenly your entire front line is going to be gone. And then it's just going to be the Gaunts against the Lancers. And that is not going to go well for Gregor here.
Yeah, the Lancers are able to chew their way through that line of defense. And the Gaunts are they're not viable on their own. They do need some kind of, like a meat shield or something in the way. I think we're seeing a third base taken here from Gregor. There's some red blip over by
Luminite.
Luminite? I almost called it Lunamite. That's what I almost said. Luminite. All right.
Light him up.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Yeah, so he is actually expanding over here. So, you know, development-wise, we're going to need from Monk to either see an attack kill this or he's going to have to expand himself. It looks like we do have an attack inbound right now.
Yeah, those Magmadons are going to start charging up onto those units. They don't have the stun upgrade yet on them, so those units will still be able to run back away from the charge. But it does do a little bit of extra damage and get the Magmadons on top there. But you can see that it's very difficult to actually get on top of everything once those Exos are going. There's the upgrade going on that Shadow Clip to get the upgrade for those Magmadons. So once that finishes, it's a pretty quick upgrade, so that will really improve the ability for Gregor to do these engagements here. And this is really vital to be able to actually defend this third base.
Yeah, it looks like Monk just doesn't quite have enough. He moves in and moves back out. He may be trying to find a new position to try to fight from. He does have the med techs up here, so he's got a little bit of heal. Is he going to actually push in? Again, we don't have that third base up, so, you know, as time passes, it's going to be the enemy here of Monk, as he's just going to, you know, get behind. And it looks like he's going to come in here with the Exos and try to see what damage he can do.
yeah, he's doing this little poke thing, which is quite nice. He's just poking forward with the Exos since they are a little bit faster and with a lot of range, obviously, as well, to be able to poke and then run back to the Medtechs to get healed up a little bit. It's doing a pretty good job being able to snipe off some of these brutes at the front here and get rid of the Fiend line as well. Even a Gaunt getting stuck at the front there, so that's pretty nice. This Hellborn is, I think it's called, right, Hellborn? Is that what I was saying it's called?
I thought it was called Hellborn.
Yeah, Hellborn over there getting some decent shots onto the Exos, but you can see, unless it actually, they have a lot of them, it doesn't seem like it does too much damage. It's kind of a cool attack with the way they do it, just like throwing that giant ball of fire. But
it is pretty
unfortunately,
epic.
It's not actually burning any of the units, so maybe they need to upgrade their fire capabilities.
He's going to come around from the side here. Now, he's forced out a couple Fiends. That can basically allow for a surround to then allow these bigger units to close in and really do the damage. He's going to fracture off even more into Fiends here, and this is a really big surround, but it does seem like Monk is basically starting to win the fight. I'm seeing so many Vanguard units stay alive. Well, hold on. He's going to be chased a little bit further back here. He's going to go and try to relocate. You know, the problem is the Fiends are fast enough. They can just keep dealing damage to you as you're running away, like we're seeing here now.
Yeah, the Fiends starting to spawn can really start to swing things. It can get a little difficult to know exactly when you're going to lose the fight or not, because suddenly you can just get a bunch of Fiends from a bunch of low health units, and then now everything's swinging. But a lot of the reinforcements now coming in for Monk here to be able to push back some of these units. The Magmadons, once they get a little bit too far forward, start to actually die pretty quickly, so you have to be very careful with them. Yes, it's good to charge forward with them to get into the middle of the army to stun them, but then once they get too forward, then they start to die really quickly.
Yeah, it looks like Monk is going to be able to defend this location over here. We've got some reinforcements coming down from the north. A lot of these brutes turning into Fiends. They're going to wrap around here, coming in from the bottom so that there's nowhere to retreat. But Monk actually manages to slide just behind the command post. Some of these are still pinned up against the wall.
There's that Global Infest getting on top of those units, but Monk actually isn't able to run away from it. I thought they got out of the circle, but for some reason it's still on top of them
must
anyway.
be like some kind of a bug in
Not
this
sure
build.
what happened there, but okay.
So all of his stuff was infested, although it looked like he was outside of the damage radius of that.
Nothing really ended up happening there because there weren't really any units left to defend, to capitalize on that. We keep going for these big Fiend surrounds here as Gregor to try and get on top of these Exos, but you can see they're just so low HP that they get killed off pretty easily, and Monk is able to just continually kite backwards to getting on top, getting away from these Fiends, and they do so much damage, these Exos, once they start getting some veterancy going. So they really start to do a lot of damage against these Magmadons as well, just charging forward and dying. But the Bob line is starting to get killed off a little bit here. This third base is still under threat.
Yeah, this is a really nice hold here for Monk. I'm worried that Gregor has basically thrown away his army. He looked pretty scary. He had a lot going for him, but he lost that. He wasn't able to deny that third base. This has been stellar defense from Monk the entire time.
Yeah, that third rank veterancy Exo as well, really doing its best there. It's got such low HP. We'd love to heal that one up so it keeps going, because that's a lot of extra damage getting done there. The veterancy buffs have also been improved over time as well. So before it seemed like it didn't really do too much, but nowadays I think it's actually pretty good to keep those alive. It's really noticeable in some of these fights here. These Exos are doing really good.
I didn't realize the Bob could get veterancy too.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, I wonder what this. It's like gets one extra resource. They got it in mind, so I don't know. I wonder, maybe
you can just punch a unit with one more damage.
Yeah, yeah, it builds a little bit faster.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I had no idea. I just kind of assumed that wouldn't impact workers, but now I'm curious what the implications of that are for the game. So, look, this game could probably go on for a lot longer. I mean, there's a lot of resource locations on the map. It does feel like right now it's Monk, in the driver's seat here. He's kind of going to be able to direct this game to where he wants it to go. As far as Gregor's concerned, he's really in a rebuilding phase of the game.
Yeah, he really did commit a lot to try and break Monk there. I think he really wanted to kill off that third base and be able to snowball from there, but at this point, he wasn't able to do that, and so now, like you said, he's kind of rebuilding a little bit, trying to get that fourth base and really trying to see what he can do with his tech here. These Magmadons getting stuck in the middle of the map is not great for them because, again, you can see just how quick they start to get shredded here. Some Fiends were morphed a little bit earlier, trying to maybe do some kind of counter-harass or something, but nothing actually got done with them, and now they've actually just lost all their white shield because they've just been off of the Shroud for this entire time. So now they're going to be even weaker as well, so I'm not quite sure what Gregor's got planned for these units here, as he's still just kind of moving around the map trying to get some sort of posture against the Monk army.
Monk does not move further down here towards the middle. It does seem like Gregor is confident with what he's got to try to take this fight. We've got a Vulcan up here. Keep in mind, if he can get a cone of damage over there from the side, that might be pretty huge. He is going to be firing some shots in here. I'm a little bit worried Gregor's too fractured as far as what he has on the map.
Yeah, he's really getting split up here. There's only a couple units actually attacking the main force of this army. The rest of them are stuck onto that one Vulcan that was rallied up on the top there. And you don't quite see a shot of it, but you can see literally the whole army was shooting that one Vulcan. All those Hellborns have huge range, so they will just kind of attack the first thing in front of them, and that was that one Vulcan. So then the rest of the units just kind of suicided over onto the main army there. So kind of a weird, misjointed fight there, but not too much implication, I guess, because the main army just kind of does walk away there. So not too bad, but we got a couple extra bases now kicking for the Infernals. Gregor's getting those up, so we'll start to allow him to really move into the later stages of this game. A big brute morph over there with those Fiends, going to try to do some backstab and get a flank off onto these units. But I mean, these Hellborns are really far forward, so it looks like they're going to start to get picked off if he's not too careful. But the Fiends really getting some nice surround here, but they're getting killed off really quickly because of those Exos and Vulcans.
It just seems like there's enough sustain here that he's going to kill off all those Fiends, and now we're going to have the dive come in here from Monk. And these units are not fast. They cannot retreat easily. You could see that kiting is not going to be a thing that you can get away with here. And so that's another big victory here for Monk, who seems to just have a better balanced army. So a big miscalculation there for Gregor. This is one of the things that will happen a lot when an RTS game is brand new, is it's not clear for either side who's actually going to win the fight.
Yeah,
the more you play, the more you can like look at two armies and be like, oh, he's got this or he doesn't have this.
Yep. Oh, we got a dragon. The Flayed Dragon actually getting spawned. That's the highest Animus cost ability for the Infernals. It takes a lot of damage, or a lot of resources as well. You can see it doing the Infest ability and then sucking it back up to get all of its white health back. That's the big buff that the unit actually has to be able to do in these engagements. It's also got so much HP, does a lot of damage, so it's doing a decent bit here, but there's just nothing else below it really to be able to help the actual dragon itself. Again, these Hellborns are not actually doing that much damage, it seems like. They seem really big and intimidating, but it doesn't seem like they're maybe actually good at direct engagements. Maybe they're better for actual breaking a real sieged position, like if someone's sitting behind a bunch of turrets or something like that. That's maybe where they're more useful, but in these main engagements, it doesn't seem like they're doing that much.
Yeah, we can see the dragon continuing to do a lot of damage over here. But I don't see anything else other than this dragon. There's like a few stray units coming up. And, it can't be a standalone unit by itself. It just seems like Monk has way more. I would be very curious what the supplies are actually like right now, because I'm under the impression that Monk is probably double the supply here of Gregor right now.
Yeah.
And this is looking more like it's going to be a 2-2 unless I really have a bad read on this game. It just seems like Monk is dominating.
Yeah, there's really seemingly nothing here for Gregor except for that big dragon, which again, it does take a lot of resources to make that, so it does kind of stunt your production a little bit if you're not already pretty rich and in just a really good position in the game. So it looks like he sacrificed quite a lot to be able to get that out, but it's not really doing that much right now. I don't even know where it is on the map. There it is down there. I'm just enjoying the scenery. I'm not quite sure what it's doing down here, killing a single Lancer, but I mean, the main army from Monk is gargantuan, and it's walking right across the map here. And I don't see what the actual army is for Gregor.
Yeah, and I think it's a matter of time. I think Monk, now that he started this comeback, it looks like he's, headed towards a game to win here. So he'd be tying this up. I think he's just being a little bit cautious, or at least was being cautious earlier about not, overextending, because that's basically how he ended up winning this game, was a big overextension from Gregor. Now this base is going to get smashed. GG is called, and we're going to go to Game 5.
Nice. Wow, a whole 5-game best-of-5 finals. That's what we like to see in the new Stormgate.
You guys back and forth a little bit. It seems like, Greg, you don't have an answer to
what is
the
happening.
We have an interview, apparently.
You're having trouble
penetrating
his force there. What are you thinking going into this last game?
Yeah, I don't know what to do, so I guess I'll try something new.
Greg.
All right.
Words of wisdom.
I don't know what Greg looks like, but he sounds like a
of,
warrior.
Hellborns and Magmadons to try to deal some of the AoE damage to his ground forces, but it just didn't seem to be doing too much.
Yeah, I need to trap him, and so he can't kite back, basically, is what I was trying to do.
You're very successful, I felt, on one of the fights, and I thought I was dead.
There was one where he traded very well in the middle. Yeah.
the one where I was at your third, like the first fight at your third. I think I picked off a lot of your units before, but still like and that might have evened it up, but I thought I lost like the actual fight because you split your brutes and then surrounded by exos while you while like the Magmadon hit my lancers.
So true.
I feel like I was so caught off guard when those voices came up. I'm like looking around my room. I'm like, is there a third headset I have? Is there a third caster that we were just
Did
talking
Monk
over?
teleport into our room?
That was wild. Okay, well, we got to hear a little bit of a discussion there between the two players. We're here in Game 5. All right, well, I guess if this game ends, we should be ready in case those voices come back.
I know. They're going to haunt my dreams.
I know.
Just these ghost voices in my ears.
The ghost caster came into our finals here. So, what was I saying? So, just in case you guys are wondering, we were sent this file to cast.
Yeah.
And so I guess that part's been in there. Anyways, are we going to have the fast expand here from Monk? Or is there going to be, a different build here? He's basically just been going for macro plays every time.
Yeah, I mean, he really likes to go for that CP first. Looks like he is actually mining a little bit of Therium in that main base on the mini-map there, so it looks like he will be going for something a little bit different. Perhaps we might be seeing a Hornet Rush, which is, like I was saying before, it's the new Hedgehog, so if you can get those out super early, it could be really difficult for the Infernals to actually defend against them. So he might be going for something like that. There's some really cheeky openers you can do, so we'll see what's on the cards for Monk, but he's just using his scout to scout the enemy base. You like what I said?
Nice.
That was sick.
That was sick, man.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be cool if we do have, a little bit of a different approach here. I don't see fast expanding just yet in the cards here for Gregor, but I also don't see... Well, it's called Iron Vaults. Is that correct?
The Iron Vault is
Iron
where
Vault.
the brutes come, and then the Conclave is what makes the Gaunts.
Yeah, we've had games where we've seen up to 3 Iron Vaults thrown down right away from Vortex, but it seems like it's not going to be the case this time around. Monk is not going to go for that quick CP.
Yeah, it's going to be a very fast one-base bio lab opener, so I'm assuming that's going to be the Lancer upgrade again, because, again, those early game Lancers are just very strong, so I'm curious to see what kind of pressure he's going to be getting with this, because I don't usually see this kind of build that much, I'd say, so I'm curious how much damage it can do.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Not the quickest expand, but it is an expand build here from Gregor. So when you look at two players and one's expanding, the other's not, the one that's not expanding has to rush for any of this to make sense. Now, it might not be with the first initial few units, but something has to be aggressive inbound soon.
Yeah. And again, Monk is going for a lot of mining on this Therium. Really, last time we saw that one map where he had 15 on the Therium. This time he's got 8 on one base, so he's really trying to get a whole bunch of Therium set up for himself here and then taking off of it to go mine the Luminite later. So I guess he's just banking up a whole bunch of Therium at the start and then just saying, okay, I don't need any more anymore at this point. So I'm really curious how this whole resource management thing is working, because the Therium does work differently than just gas does in StarCraft, where it's like it's not just like a set thing where you just get it and you can only mine it with 3 workers or whatever. Like, there's different things with it where sometimes it's more efficient, sometimes it's not. So there's a lot of stuff that can happen there with the efficiency and just like optimization of how your builds work that I'm not totally in tune with yet.
There's 2 Bobs.
He's going to do turret rushes?
I think he's going to do a turret rush.
Yeah, because then you could put the Lancers inside, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's going to try to do kind of like a Warcraft 3 tower rush.
He's kind of bringing them back, maybe. I think he's scared away at this point, seeing how many units are actually here. And I mean, I guess because you can just do the overcharged Bob power building thing on the CP, which it looks like he did. I mean, Monk is kind of just already back in economy anyway, so I guess he just went for this early Lancer upgraded push to just see if he could get some kind of turret position set up, and then realized, okay, no, I can't do that, so let's just go power build a CP and just go and macro anyway.
Yeah, a good call by him to actually turn around. Otherwise, that would have just been an overextension and probably a pretty easy win here for Gregor. So Gregor is roaming the map here, getting some creep kills. He may be coming in here with an attack of his own. And look, the reality is if he expanded earlier, got those extra resources, he should have maybe a stronger attack coming here. So this is going to be a lot of pressure over here for Monk.
Yeah, he also got the speed camp done, so that means that his units were quite fast getting across the map, so he's really in Monk's face suddenly in a very quick fashion here, and the Lancers are going to try to kite onto those units here. As you can see with the upgrade, it really allows them to kite forward as well, so that way they can get into the backline, and just running those low health Lancers, honestly, a little bit too far away. Oh no, he's going to the health camp. That's actually kind of cool. He had got that a little bit earlier, so he's going to be able to heal those up just a little bit to help get on top of these units. Again, the overcharged Bobs doing a good job of meat shielding, but it is also giving the Infernos a lot of extra fiends to really snowball this fight over to their favor. And that actually, there wasn't any turret getting built during that time as well, so now there's nothing back for Monk to go back and defend with, and now these Gaunts are really getting on top of everything, and this might snowball to a quick win.
Yeah, I mean, if he loses this expansion, he's probably going to lose the game. We have a lot more reinforcements. It looks like the rally points definitely on point here. That's going to be a GG. Whoa, okay, quick victory there. Gregor, congratulations. The victor of the Yeti Cup.
What a shocking win.
Oh, man, these other casters come in here and take our glory.
Oh, I wanted
The
to GG
championship,
as
the
loud
Yeti
as I
Cup, he's
could.
crowned the winner of the Elephant Yeti Cup.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice.
And,
problem.
Anticlimactic.
Go to tastelessthreads.com. That's my merch site. I'm not going to let these guys steal our thunder. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, there was a sentry post and a barracks that was almost done producing right when you arrived at his doorstep. And if those had been finished and, you know, Kevin put a Lancer in there or something like that could have changed the whole outcome of the battle.
So true.
Yeah,
It's true,
exactly.
he's
It was
right.
a really
I would have said it
great
better, but yeah.
timing, like making sure you kept that pressure on.
Kevin, so maybe you can tell me about this.
I'm
You
just
brought
smarter than the devs.
I would have
Bobs
been
with you
more
with your
articulate
first
even.
Lancer push when they first got the upgrade. It looked like maybe you were going to put a sentry post down with healing. What was your thought there?
I thought I would put a sentry post and and put a Lancer inside it.
Okay.
So it was more of like a pressure play. Honestly, I was making it up as
he
I
put
was
the units on
going
the other
along.
side of the map
Sure.
to pressure
But at
him.
first I was like, I'm gonna
play.
do like a
he was
one
gonna
base
defend.
Lancer push, which I had the upgrade when the first three Lancer poke, it didn't do that much. And then I was but he had so many units, so I was like, oh, this isn't gonna work, so I just retreated.
Yeah.
I think I should have probably like speed built my sentry post. That was my mistake. And I also should have probably like tried to buy a little more time for the sentry post to complete. I think it was just the sentry post not completing really messed me up. I was actually surprised I
just one
lost the
mistake.
fight.
One mistake.
Oh.
It's RTS, man. Guys, we're going to wrap
And
it
I
up here.
think it might have been
How much
partially
more of this?
because
Do we have this
I was
video?
creeping prior.
We've got another minute. We're going to let him
which
talk
made
for the
my
minute.
units really low health. Like 2 of my Lancers were in the red
The
when
health
that
camp
fight
is a
started.
beast.
It is cool to see those early game interactions where you have the infest and the fiend spawning. It's like it's such a delicate balance that if the infernal player isn't able to kill a few Bobs and kill a Lancer or two and start snowballing the fiends, then what ends up happening is like the Vanguard player loses nothing and, you know, Infernal loses all their units, you know. So it's like it's a fine balance there where it's hard to tell who's going to come out ahead. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I
Beautiful
agree.
analysis.
I think I did not realize I was going to lose the fight until near when the fight was almost over. Yeah, like you said, it snowballs a lot in the sense that, like, I think once like a few Bobs fall, they spawn fiends, and then that's what causes that snowball.
That's like what I said.
But
That's
like
right.
the
These guys are good.
Bobs are really tanky. So
Guys,
they
we're going to
don't
have a lot
die
more
very
content like
quickly.
this.
Yeah,
So I
with
think the
overcharge.
turning point is when the turning point is like when the first 2 Bobs die or something like that.
Remember, the
Well,
beta is going to be
GGs,
out
guys,
tomorrow
that
if you're
was
watching this.
Super exciting.
Next fest.
Next
Stream
fest.
it.
Yeah. Well,
gonna be
congrats,
sick.
Greg. Thanks
Mhm.
everybody for
That's going to be the
for
global
watching.
infest if you want to ask what I think. Ew, and that timed out perfectly with that sound effect. All right, guys, thanks for watching.